Hey everybody, hope you guys did alright. So apparently it looks like milk, wheat, potatoes, chicken, and sugar are the highest consumed foods around the world. So I want to just look into some of the effects, or as much as I'm looking into the effects of these foods, and perhaps present you guys some alternatives that aren't as detrimental to the human body and to the just the world around. So, all right, one thing I want to share. Okay, let's get down here. So, this is from an Oxford study. So, people who consume dairy products regularly had significantly higher risks of developing liver and breast cancer. So, for each 50 gram a day intake of milk, the risk increased by 12% to and 17% respectively. And then they have some other words here, but there was kind of a strange way they worded it, so I don't really feel like it's the best thing to share. But anyway, I want to talk about also about the female sex hormones such as estrogen or estrogen. Sorry if I mispronounced that. And then there's another one called starts with the P, called progesterone. Excuse me, I mispronounced those. They may have a role in a increased risk of breast cancer, whilst trans fat and saturated fats may have an increased risk for liver cancer. So, continuing on here. So, this is from a Google search on how much greenhouse emissions result from one glass of milk. It's equivalent to 3.8 kilometers of driving just for one glass of milk. Then right here we have cows generate the bulk of emissions in livestock sector, which in itself is responsible for 15% of all anthropogenic greenhouse gas emissions. Form 1 is from a website called anthropogenicmagazine.org. Efficiency in dairy production has greatly increased over the past 5 decades, but so too has the demand for milk, and so even though it takes or is far less detrimental to produce milk now than it was in the past, our enormous appetite and ensuing consumption from such large demand has and is generating a lot of CO2 emissions, which is a poisonous / toxic gas. And again, it is not necessary. I mean, because there is completely much healthier alternatives for us and for the collective than milk. So, all right. So this is a study on plant milk versus cow's milk. This information is from a website called ourworldindata.org. So cow's milk has significantly higher impacts than the plant-based alternatives across all metrics. It causes around 3 times as much greenhouse gas emissions, uses around 10 times as much land, 2 to 20 times as much fresh water, and creates much higher levels of eutrophication. And I didn't know what that word was, so I looked it up, and the definition of eutrophication is excessive richness of nutrients in a lake or other body of water, frequently due to runoff from the land, which causes a dense growth of plant life and death of animal life from lack of oxygen. And then also just to remind you guys, there's around 60 million plastic bottles end up in landfills every single day, and a lot of that comes from milk containers and jugs. So, all right, yeah, I think, and I already talked about the 15%. In case I didn't, I'm going to mention it again. So it looks like the cattle industry is responsible for 15% of all anthropogenic greenhouse gas emissions. So, all right, I love you guys. Hope you have a good day. All right, bye.